Good morning. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Casio MRW-200H-1BVES. Casio have produced this watch since 2011 and it remains one of the most popular selling Casio watches. So I paid £10 for this watch and I bought the watch from Amazon. So firstly let's look at the box that the MRW-200 comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the watch. So the MRW-200 comes in this blue Casio cardboard watch box, and one cannot be critical of the basic cardboard watch box because this watch only costs £10. I think it's perfectly acceptable for Casio to use a watch box like this at that low tier price point. So I'll talk you through the other items one gets with a watch. One gets this user's guide, which is translated into multiple foreign languages, and it goes into detail how to operate the quartz module used in the MRW-200. So the MRW-200 uses the module 5125, and this is a fold-out leaflet, and one can learn how to set the day-date complication and set the time. It goes into good detail, so it's a very comprehensive guide which is translated into multiple foreign languages, so very useful read. One also gets a leaflet which again is translated into multiple foreign languages, and it details how to dispose of your Casio watch when you're finished with it. One also gets this Casio warranty card leaflet, and this leaflet isn't stamped because I bought the watch from Amazon and therefore the watch is covered by Amazon's 2-year guarantee. Casio also independently cover the watch with a 1-year guarantee internationally. So this warranty card booklet goes into detail how to make a warranty claim in the event that your MRW-200 is faulty and you need it repaired or replaced. One also gets this Casio tag, which is cardboard, and on the reverse it has the barcode and the reference number of the piece, as well as detailing the module number, which is 5125. And lastly, one also gets a leaflet which invites the collector to enter a competition. You go on the Casio website and register your product details, and then that automatically enters you into a monthly prize draw and you can win another Casio watch. So with regards to the watch itself, the MRW-200 has been produced since 2011 as I've discussed, and there are no reported production defects or quality control issues from 2011 to 2020 inclusive. It's a reliable, well-built piece. The quality control is exceptional, even though it's a mass-produced piece, and also it's a low-tier price point piece at only £10. So I'll talk you through the specification. It's a 45mm case, it is 12mm thick, and it has an 18mm lug width. Now the interesting thing about this is, although it's 45mm, it's a large piece which is a dive watch style, it only weighs 39 grams, so it's a very lightweight piece. And that's a real advantage because it's often the case that 45mm watches are heavy to wear on the wrist for long periods of time. But at only 39 grams, it really does feel similar in weight to a Casio digital watch such as the F91W, which you may be familiar with. And that's a real advantage. If you're looking for a durable work watch, this really is ideal because it can take a lot of abuse, and also it's very comfortable to wear for 8 to 12 hours per day, for example. So comfort is very good with this watch with regards to its lack of heft. So with regards to the rest of the dimensions, it's 48mm lug-to-lug measurement. Now, I regard 48mm to be the sweet spot for all watches. If you're a collector with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, 48mm will fit you very well. And if you're a collector with a larger wrist like myself with a 7 to 8 inch wrist, 48mm will equally fit you very well. It really is the perfect lug-to-lug measurement. So, although it's 45mm, it's a large piece. It is quite low profile at only 12mm thick, and therefore it will slip easily underneath a shirt cuff, and regardless of your wrist size, large or small, the 48mm lug-to-lug measurement will wrap around the wrist very well. So it's a nice curved profile to the case shape, and it has a flat brushed satin finish stainless steel case back, so incredibly comfortable to wear on the wrist. Now, as I've discussed, this watch is covered by a 1-year Casio international guarantee, and it also has a 2-year Amazon guarantee. And I really think if you're going to buy it, it's worth buying it from Amazon for only £10, because one gets an extra 12 months of warranty. One gets 2 years of warranty rather than just the 1-year Casio international warranty. So it's 100 meters water resistant, which is very good, bearing in mind the price point of the piece. It has an acrylic crystal, and it has a bidirectional rotating bezel. Now, interestingly, the bidirectional rotating bezel is friction based. It doesn't have any clicks. It's not a 60 click or 120 click unidirectional bezel. Now, one thing I really like about the friction based bezel is it has a very firm resistance. It's not sloppy, it's a tight fit on the case, and it's a pleasure to use because it's easy to grip, but the other thing is the resistance is firm. It takes a lot of force to twist the bezel clockwise and anti-clockwise. So for example, if you use it as a timing bezel, which is its intention, if you knock the watch against something, it's not going to accidentally move the bezel clockwise or anti-clockwise. It really does take quite a lot of pressure to rotate it. So that's something I really like about it, because it is a functional timing bezel. I also like the legibility of it because it has a red triangle at 12 o'clock, and then the indexing for the first 15 minutes is indexed with minute ticks, and then it's also indexed all the way around at periodic points, 15, 20, 25, 30, etc. So it's actually a very clearly legible and functional timing bezel, very useful. Now, with regards to the dial layout, it's something I really like because it has both 12 and 24-hour Arabic numerals. It has large numerals in Arabic fonts for the 12 hours and then smaller Arabic numerals for the 24 hours. The day-date complication is framed in white and it's clearly legible. So I really like the execution of the dial layout because of its functionality. It also has a chapter ring which indexes the minute ticks all the way around. So it really is a very easy to read watch in all light conditions. The other thing I like about it is the contrast of the white hands. The hands really do contrast beautifully with both the large Arabic numerals and also the matte black dial. So very easy to read, very functional, an ideal work watch. For example, if you work in a tough environment and you need a watch which is going to take some abuse, but also a lightweight watch which is going to be comfortable to wear for long periods of time, this watch should suffice because it's easy to read, it's durable and also lightweight. So with regards to the module used in the watch, it uses a quartz module, the module number 5125. Now that's actually a Miyota module. It's the Miyota 2305. Casio call the module the 5125, but Casio do not actually make the module themselves. It's made in Japan by Miyota and it's the 2305. Now, the Miyota 2305 is a very reliable, well-proven workhorse quartz module. I would simply describe it as being indestructible. It's been used in many watches, many different brands use the Miyota 2305. There are no reliability or production defect reports whatsoever. It's a very durable movement. Now, with regards to its accuracy, the stated accuracy of the Miyota 2305 is plus or minus 20 seconds per month, and I think that's very good. One needs to remember that this watch only costs £10, and to get a quartz module which has an accuracy of plus or minus 20 seconds per month really is very impressive. So with regards to the battery life, it has a 3-year battery life, and I think that's perfectly acceptable, bearing in mind that this is a quartz piece, and I think that the Japanese-made Miyota 2305 is a credible choice. So the watch is made in China and the module is cased in China, but however the module itself is made by Miyota in Japan. So I think it's very good to get a Japanese-made Miyota module rather than a Casio Chinese-made module in this watch at this price point. Stainless steel crown, which is push-pull. It has a coin edge finish, which is very well executed. Minor criticism is the crown feels quite undersized because it does sit inside those crown guards. Now it's well protected by the crown guards, but the problem is because it's a small crown, it's actually quite hard to grip. So for example, if you're wearing a pair of gloves, it's going to be difficult to pull out the crown to set the time or the day-date complication. and that's something to bear in mind. But if you're not wearing gloves, it's easy to get a grip of the coin edge finish to set the time. So I personally would prefer if they sized up the crown, made it larger and easier to grip, but it is functional and acceptable. The push-pull crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters of water resistance. And again, to get a 100 meter water resistance watch at only £10 is very impressive. With regards to the strap, 18mm lug width, it starts off at a wider 20mm and then tapers down to the buckle. The buckle is plastic and it's signed with the Casio brand logo, as you can see. There's one keeper on the strap which slides. So with regards to the strap, very durable, very hard wearing as one would expect. It's like the resin strap one would get on a Casio digital watch. Minor criticism, however, is that the underside of the strap has teeth on it, as you can see. Now, the purpose of the teeth are to create friction so the keeper doesn't slide up and down the strap, so it's very functional. But the problem with these teeth is they actually feel quite rough on the wrist. I personally would prefer the underside of the strap to be perfectly smooth rather than having these teeth to prevent the keeper sliding up and down. The keeper actually has a friction fit against the teeth, so it does work because it prevents the keeper sliding up and down loosely, but unfortunately that means that it's not very comfortable to wear on the wrist. So I personally would prefer this watch to be worn on a NATO strap, or alternatively a silicone rubber strap, which I think would be far more comfortable. The other thing is the resin strap feels quite stiff. Now, it's not a strap that's going to break in the more you wear it. It's not like a leather strap. And the problem with this strap is that if you're going to wear the watch for long periods of time, I think it will irritate you because of that stiff plastic-like feeling of the resin and also those teeth. So that's something to bear in mind. But with regards to the resin strap's construction, it is made very well because, as you can see, around the spring bars, the end of the strap has a very strong reinforced web, and that adds some stiffness to the ends of the strap, which are prone to splitting usually. So I really like that detail of the webbing around the spring bar. It does add extra reinforcement, and that's an area that often resin straps break, around the spring bar, because of all the flexing that goes on where the end of this strap joins the lugs of the case. So very well made, very durable, but not the most comfortable of straps. With regards to the Caseback, it's very well executed. It's a stainless steel Caseback which is brushed into a satin finish with vertical brushing. 4 stainless steel screws secure the stainless steel Caseback to the resin case. So that again provides a hermetic seal to 100 meters of water resistance, and it also makes changing the battery very easy because one can easily unscrew the 4 screws, lift off the Caseback, change the battery and screw it back on. And I really think that's an advantage of this watch. One doesn't need any specialist tools to change the battery oneself. So the battery lasts for 3 years, and you can simply buy a battery online and a jeweler's screwdriver, unscrew the Caseback, change the battery yourself and screw the Caseback back on. And I think that is very good in terms of practicality. So the Caseback is engraved with a specification, and it details that it has the module number 5125, as I've discussed. And it also details that the watch itself is cased in China, but the movement is a Japan movement, which is the Miyota 2305, as I've discussed. So overall, I think it's a good looking watch, and I really like the day-date complication being framed in white, and also the day-date complication date wheels are also white with black numerals and letters. So clearly legible, and it's just a very easy to read dial, and the day-date complication is also easy to read. Now, minor criticism is the use of acrylic crystal. Unfortunately, acrylic isn't as scratch resistant as mineral crystal, hardlex or sapphire crystal respectively, and that is a disadvantage because clearly this watch is intended to be worn as a dive watch, and it's also made to withstand some abuse. It's a practical daily wear watch if you work in a tough environment, as I've discussed, but the problem is the acrylic crystal will quickly show scuffs and scratches because it's a soft material. Now, it is resistant to shock damage. It's not going to crack easily, but the problem is it will show scuffs. So I would say to you, if you buy this watch, also invest in some polywatch, because polywatch is very useful for removing scratches. from acrylic crystals. So that's a minor criticism, the fact that it doesn't use mineral crystal, but at £10 one cannot expect that. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how the watch fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, it's often the case that watches have a strap that is too short for my 8-inch wrist, but I'm pleased to report that this watch, although it's only £10, does have a good length on the strap. This will easily fit your wrist if you're a collector with a 6 to 7-inch wrist, and as you can see, I even have an 8-inch wrist, and the strap does still fit my wrist, and I can even engage the keeper in the end of the strap, as you can see. So it does have enough length to fit up to an 8-inch wrist with no problems whatsoever. And I really like the fact the Casio plastic buckle is signed with Casio. It's a nice detail. Now, on the wrist, the strap does feel reasonably comfortable, even though it does have those teeth on the underside, as I've discussed. It will be a very lightweight and comfortable watch to wear for long periods of time. As I've discussed, the 48mm lug-to-lug measurement really is the sweet spot, and the curved case shape means that it wraps around the wrist. At only 12mm thick, this is going to fit underneath a shirt cuff with no difficulty, and I really like it. I like the look of the watch. I like the black bezel, which is matte black, which matches the resin case, and also the red triangle at 12 o'clock on the bezel contrasts beautifully. It's very eye-catching and very aesthetically pleasing. So easy to read and nice to wear on the wrist. It feels comfortable, feels lightweight. It has the feeling of wearing a weightless watch because it only weighs 39 grams. So I think if you're looking for a work watch at only £10, there simply isn't a better option. It really is very practical. So let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs on the hands and also the dial. Now I'm just going to charge up the Lume using my 100 LED UV torch to the absolute maximum, so we can see the peak performance of the Lume on this Casio MRW-200. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, the large Arabic numerals are fully loomed, and also the hour and minute hand and the second hand are also fully loomed. Now, unfortunately, the Lume on the large Arabic numerals are already beginning to fade fast, so very poor quality Lume on the large Arabic numerals. As you can see, the Lume is already fading to nothing. It's really negligible. It's not worth having that Lume on the dial whatsoever. However, the Lume on the hands is continuing to glow, although it is fading very fast. So I would describe the Lume on the dial as being very bad, and I would describe the Lume on the hands as being poor. It's continuing to glow, to fade to nothing. So very poor performance of the Lume and a real disappointment. But however, one has to accept this watch is only £10 and the Lume is clearly a cost-cutting measure by Casio. So one is going to expect these kind of things on a low-tier price point piece at only £10. It is a 100-meter water-resistant watch, and it does use a credible Japanese-made Miyota 2305 module. So I really think it's acceptable to have poor quality Lume, because I'm pleased that Casio didn't cut corners with regards to the module or the water resistance of the piece in order to keep it cost effective at only £10. So lastly, what do I think of the watch? Well, I'll surmise it like this. When I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. The watch should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So this watch is £10. The value is unbeatable at £10. To get a 100-meter water-resistant watch with a day-date complication and a credible Miyota Japanese-made quartz module, really at £10, it just simply cannot be beaten. The value is excellent. So what do I think of the quality? Well, I consider the quality of this watch overall to also be excellent. Yes, it only uses an acrylic crystal. As I've discussed, that's not as scratch resistant as mineral glass. But however, I think that's acceptable at this price point. And I also think it's acceptable that the Lume is poor quality, bearing in mind the low tier price point of the watch. It's only £10. And really, they are the only negatives. Minor criticism is the underside of the strap has those teeth, so it's not as comfortable as it could be. But however, it's an 18mm lug width, so therefore it's easy for a collector to change the strap for an 18mm silicone rubber strap, alternatively a NATO strap, to improve the comfort of the watch. So it's not going to cost a lot to rectify that minor criticism and upgrade the resin strap. Overall, I think this watch is a champagne watch for lemonade money. It's a heavy hitter. I really think it's a good looking watch. It's lightweight, it's comfortable, day-date complication, 100 meters water resistance, rotating bezel which is useful for timing, and it's just an all-round very good looking piece, and I absolutely love it. I think the MRW-200 is one of the best Casio watches. I strongly recommend it to you for your consideration, and I highly recommend that you add one to your collection because it's just a very pleasant watch to wear. It feels very comfortable, very lightweight, and it's also useful to have a watch which has 100 meters of water resistance because one can take the watch swimming, one can wear it in the shower, the bath. It's just a good all-round tough watch that will take a beating. So I absolutely love it, and I hope you've liked my review of the Casio MRW-200H. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.